won't necessarily hear it in here. It's for the recording.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Also, you have to use this.
No. It's just that it's not very loud to hear because you don't really need it in here. It's not really volume, audio reinforcement in here. It's more for audio reinforcement for the recording. You know what I'm saying?
So that means you have to raise your voice.
And is this like a plug in here? Or
Yeah.
okay. I'll wait till it logs in.
There's you can reach down, but if you've never logged on to this computer.
Yeah, it's been a couple years.
Probably reading out. Oh, there, the Shirley is kind of going there.
She's gonna. Okay, that's fine.
I'm gonna just take a peek by the engineering building and see.
Yeah, Shirley is. So before the class starts, and just grab a few words about the syllabus. I think I make it more kind of elaborated, a lot of details. So because we got a lot of feedback about the course, and then this semester trying to kind of really organize the course and so that we incorporate more information that a lot of students show strong interest in. And major change here is just kind of you have a course outline. Here is I'll just give you some categories and saying that we will cover certain topics and different areas, including the assignment series and some more kind of professional training. And we're going to see if this is good and everybody has different feedback. And after the listening, so we continuously modify so fit in your students' needs. Another thing is the grading scales or the policies here. So we emphasize on two. One is attendance, another one is reports. So the attendance is 50%, and then I just put very detailed information here. If you miss it, and then you have a 7% deduction from your total score. That means 7% or 50% of the grade. And then the reports. And the report is the four, and that's give the minimum number of the work. So that make sure that you really kind of take seriously. And that's the 50%. Also, missing reporting have a certain reduction over there. And some students mentioned that how do you have if you have a great number grading and you have specific, and so I just put this kind of scales on there. And also we have notes here and talk about what is the absence. Okay, if you need to skip one because of some travel or conference and have a lot of students full time. So and then if you have an advance approval, that's okay. And also the report has to be original because we found that the students are complaining about it. Some students are copying the flyers, it's an abstract, just copy the abstract out there. And so I said, okay, it's not allowed. Okay. And also, if you miss the reports, and then you have kind of all the later reports also have. Just what we're trying to make everybody's on the same. Also, There's another thing I need to kind of bring up is that the zero tolerance on the academic dishonesty. Because I just pull up this kind of statements from the university website and saying that everything related to whatever here is going to be we consider as the academic dishonesty. So specifically is that some people are not showing up and ask somebody else to sign in. That's one thing I just heard from the students. And I would say, from my point of view, because it's I have a PhD student, so usually you're mature and it's not supposed to be put on the stuff. But unfortunately, we have to kind of enforce something to make sure that everybody is on the same page. Okay, so it's not a specifically kind of pointing to a certain students, all that kind of stuff. It just make sure that later on everybody's on the same page. So, and this one is has kind of the contract between the students and the instructor, and so that they feel great and everything is going to follow this procedure. And then this is schedule here, and I have to emphasize here is that in the website ASAP, they put the room number as 30466 in the engineering building. So the reason for that, I don't know what happens. That's it. We just changed. So that's the reason why probably the first day has very much. And the not the hospital showing up. As we supposed to have instead 20 more students or more.
At least a few people are just, they're not back yet. Because if they're not taking any other classes and there was no indication that this class was going to meet this week,
Oh, okay.
they get back next week.
Next week. Okay. Several people. Okay. So for the master students, we don't see any master students here. Uh-huh. Okay. So, but I also mentioned here is we have two time slot that has a room change. Okay, just write down all there. I think it's one is the last day. Last class is 14, number 14 weeks, and that is going to be 304, 64, 66 at the engineering building. Another one is November, right? 14th. November 14th. So the room is going to be engineering building 304, 66. Just kind of a big change. Okay, so this is for the syllabus, and everybody has any questions? I think that I asked all the. Any questions? No. Okay, so the first presentation is due by Jeff McAdam. He's a librarian, right, with our UTSA library. And today he's going to share a lot of very, very important information with us regarding the searching on the literature and what kind of use and the tools and what kind of capability out there that we can use. Okay, just give a first round.
Okay. Welcome everybody. My name is Jeff. I'm the librarian for engineering. So just to know that I'm here specifically for grad students in engineering. So I'm here to talk to you about the smart ways to use the library website, all the journals and databases that we pay lots of money for that you have access to 24 hours a day. So I'm just going to show you about those. You might want to take some notes on this. My PowerPoint is really kind of an agenda, and I'm going to mostly be doing like live searching on the website to show you exactly what we're going to do. And since we're recording this, other people who miss this can look at it, and you can come back and look at it too. Okay, and I'll give you my contact information towards the end, so you'll have that. You can contact me. All right, so The basics, library databases. How many of you guys have used the library databases here at UTSA? Couple? Sometimes? Yeah, okay. How about any of our research guides? So the librarians, such as me, have created a research guide, which really is just saying, I don't know which database to go to. Can you help me out to start? And so we made these research guides to say, here are the databases in mechanical engineering. Here's where you should start out, just if you want to start out. Off-campus access, I'll show you basically what to do for that. So a lot of students don't know this, and it's okay. You don't know it until someone tells you, right? But you can access any of these papers off campus. So I've had students tell me that a friend of theirs asked them to called them up on campus and said, hey, I'm at home, I need to get this paper. Can you give me a PDF of it and send it to me? And he's like, why? You just go to the library's webpage and you can get the PDF yourself. So you can do that. And Google Scholar is kind of the same thing. Like Google Scholar is a great search tool in addition to our databases, but sometimes it'll ask you to pay for something. If it ever asks you to pay for something, what I mean is like pay for an article. You click on the link and you go to the publisher's website. You don't have to do that. We've paid for it already. So, and then I'll talk about doing like the literature review, basically the searching for the literature review. And then we'll talk a little bit about impact factors through Web of Science. I don't know how much you'll really need to get into that. And then organizing your stuff. So one of the biggest things that I recommend to students when they start doing their research is to start using something like EndNote or Mendeley or something like that to organize your research. If it really saves you time. The most common thing that people say when I start telling them about that, especially if they're like halfway through their dissertation, is I'm really upset because I've wasted so much time. So if you start out now, it'll be good. Okay, so let me go back here. Okay, so to get to the library website, you just go up to any UTSA page and go to My UTSA, and the libraries is the fourth thing down. The fourth link down. So the library website has changed a little bit. The biggest thing you see is the search box here. The library quick search is super easy to search in. It searches a big portion of the material that we subscribe to, but not everything. We subscribe to a lot of stuff that's for some reason not harvested or licensed by the company that we use to search this. So we use a company that like most libraries use to search this, and they just don't have agreements with everybody, especially everybody that we have. But it's a great place to start. So you can just type in like, you would never type in mechanical engineering, but you type in your keywords for whatever you're looking for, and just hit enter, and you'll see a bunch of results here. And this thing has changed since the last semester. It changed like in the beginning of August. So if you see this, you'll see something that's changed. The reason why it looks like this is because the resolution on this computer screen is actually small. If you have a high resolution, this right here will be wider. It won't look this cluttered, and it kind of looks bad. One thing that we have here is like whenever you type in a specific branch of engineering or something like that, sometimes my information will pop up because I said, anytime you type in engineering, show my face so people know, that they can get help here. So you can click on my research guide if you want. You have my contact information. I'm going to hand you a card though. But anyway, another thing here it does is immediately recommends a database here. So it recommends a database called InSpec, which is also combined with a database we have called Compendex. Those are the two biggest engineering databases in the world, and it's what everybody uses when they're searching the literature. So if you're not finding what you want here, you can click on that. Let me just click on it and show you what happens. You click on it, it opens up a new tab, this is the platform. It's called Engineering Village, and you can do your keyword searches in here and find literature. So give me a sample topic, something that someone's working on. Fatigue. What kind of fatigue? Metallic. Okay. So I've got 35,000 articles on this. I can refine my results here. There's, you can refine it by author, by author affiliation, so like the lab they work in or the university, the year, all of that stuff. You can also add a term, so like metallic fatigue, but I can be like, but on, like airplanes or something like that. I don't know. And so like if I did that, it'll just put it down even further. So all these databases are indexes of journal literature. So this is when you start to do your literature review. You'll go off of stuff that you've already found in a bibliography somewhere, or like your professor gives you a paper. So the first thing you do when you're doing the literature review is you're going to say, what journal titles are people publishing in, so I know where to search for those. Also, who is the important people? Who are the important people studying this field? And then when you go into here, you can search directly for those, but you can also do the keyword search in addition to. See what I mean? This is what we call an abstract and index database. It doesn't actually have any full text PDFs in this database. So the only thing that you're going to get in this database is an abstract. So here you're going to see the title, the source. It's in this German journal. The language is in German, this one. So even though the abstract's in English, you'll have to know how to read German to read it. And somebody asked me, like, this happens actually quite a lot if I know of any translation services. And there's no good machine translation of any language, really. Like Google Translate's probably one of the better ones, but it still is not very good. So, like, really, if you just know somebody who speaks that language, otherwise you're out of luck. And I don't speak. So, anyway, so you get the abstract here, and sometimes maybe that's enough. I don't know, but sometimes it'll have like a link here. If you guys can see this, it says full text next to the detailed. If I click on that, it'll open up a new window, and it should take me to wherever we have that full text. And for some reason, this is asking me to pay for it. And so this is a good example of something. Okay, we have all of the SAE technical papers. We subscribe to them. Okay, and this is a good example of something that's going wrong instead of going right. So I click on that full text link. It takes me to this technical papers, and but it says, well, if you want to get one, it gives you a price. Well, don't pay any money to these people because UTSA has already paid the money. You've paid the money through all of your student fees. Okay, so you've already done it. You don't want to pay twice. What you need to do in this case is just to send me an email. Say, Jeff, I'm looking for this specific paper in SAE technical papers, and it's asking me to pay. What should I do? Normally, I guess and what I'll do is I'll write this down. Normally, I'll contact we have a electronic licensing librarian. He's the one who actually signs the licenses and deals with the like SAE or Elsevier or whoever. And so I'll email him and say, what's the deal with this? I can't get access. And he'll go and call them, and they'll say, oh, we made a mistake when we refreshed our database. It's usually something like that. Like the linking to know that we're UTSA sometimes just breaks. It just happens. So I just need to notify him, and then we'll get that working again. In any case, though, I don't want you to pay for something. Like, I'll get it to you if we can get this fixed, or we can get it to you within a day or two. Okay? So, you have to be logged in. On campus, though, so here's how it works, the authentication for knowing who has access to this or not is actually through an IP range. So we've given these vendors, whenever we sign a contract with them, an IP range of all the computers on campus, right? And so, so whenever you're on a computer in this IP range, they know that you have access to it. So you don't really have to log in when you're on campus. However, when you're off campus, you're not in the IP range. So what you need to do is go through the library website, and then once you leave the library website and go to SAE, to their website, before you leave there and you're off campus, the library will detect. It'll say, okay, you're not on campus. So it'll send you through what we call a proxy link. You log in with your UTSA logon, and then it will basically tell the SAE or whoever that you're within our IP range.
If you're on campus and a paper is saying that we're not subscribed to it, would it be a useful thing to try to go through the library search site, or will that not send you to a proxy if you're on campus anyway?
It shouldn't send you to a proxy. So it could be that we don't subscribe to it. I mean, we don't have a subscription to everything. Nobody does, actually. Not even like the big universities. But what we can do is get it for you if you just make a request for it. So that's a good question, and that brings me up to this. So let me go back here, and I'm trying to think of a database that... Engineering is funny because this database doesn't have the get it for me request, but a lot of databases do. But all of the other engineering databases that we have are full text databases, which means we have full text access to the papers there. But let me see if I can't find something. Mechanical engineering is a terrible search for. One thing about this search service right here is it's basically kind of in a beta right now this semester, and so there's sometimes a little bit of lag or problems with it. The people who rolled it out just don't have a lot of okay. So if you ever scroll down far enough, you'll see something that says "Get it for me." "Get it for me" or "Find it at UTSA" are the links that you're looking for. If I clicked on that, it's going to take you to some kind of login here, and then you just put in your passphrase. Okay, so what this has done is for a paper that we don't have access to, and you click the Get It For Me link, it's taking the bibliographic metadata from whatever database that it was in, and it's putting that automatically, auto-populated into a request form. And that's why I recommend using it, so you don't have to like copy and paste all this stuff. And then you just have to, at the bottom, hit Submit Request. The Get It For Me is actually also a link from the library's homepage. Let me show you that. If we go back to the library's homepage, it's right here under Find Information, Get It For Me. And so you can just click on that if you're not in the database already. And then you can log in, and this is the main request. So you can make a request for an article, you can make a request for a book or a book chapter, or any of these other options. So the library will get it for you, whatever it is. If it's something that can be scanned, like this paper, this paper is just 8 pages or whatever, or 30 pages, then they'll scan it, and then they'll send it to you. And you'll go down here to view my articles received, and you'll see a PDF of it. And that usually takes from the time you request it to the time it's received about 24 hours or less. It depends on if it's on a weekday or not. You know, like if you do it on Saturday, the people who do the service are really 8 to 5 people Monday through Friday. But so they just go out and see if another library can scan it for them. So it's really great if you come across a paper that you need really quickly and we don't have access to it, you can get that. For a book, this is basically what they used to call interlibrary loan. So we'll get a loan from another place. However, I want to say that if you need a book, you can totally get a book from here. That's fine. And it takes about a week because another library has to like put it in the mail and it has to be sent over here. But you can only take the books out for 30 days and then you have to return it. And since they're not our library books, then they'll really like, you know, sock it to you with a fine if you don't return it on time. But if you need a book longer than that, just send me an email and say, Jeff, I need this book and we don't have it. I will buy that book. That's you know, the point of a librarian here is to buy the book. So we have plenty of money to buy books. So just say, you know, there's this book or these 3 books that I need to get some background, you know, on something. I'm going to need to use them all semester, so I can't use the interlibrary loan. I won't judge you on that. I don't say no to anybody. Like if you're going to use the book, then that's great. Yeah.
So the book is going to be placed in the...
It'll be placed in the library. So what will happen is when you ask me to buy a book, I will buy the book. It'll be it'll be a library book now. But when it first arrives, I'll put in the order note. When it first arrives, before we put it on the shelf, we'll put it on a hold for you. And you'll be emailed and notified, and then you just come over and check it out. So you'll be the first person to get it. Does that make sense? Huh? No, well, we have the AET library over there, but unfortunately it has no books in it. However, you can have it sent there. So, like, if you don't want to have to walk over to JPL, when you say, can you have it just sent to the AET library, I'll put that in the directions, and so then when it's ready, you just walk over to the AET library. It's on the same floor, the second floor of the AET building, and you just walk over there and get it and check it out. So you can do that. So that's kind of your own library, but yeah.
Sometimes why the book can be checked out for just for 2 hours?
Okay, that's a good. So reserves. We'll put a book on reserve for a professor for 2 hours, and the reason why is because the professor thinks that everybody in class will need to read that book. Well, they'll need to read some part of the book or something like that. So, like, they want to make it available for everybody. Now, if one person was able to check it out for, 4 months or something like that, then no one else would get to read it during the semester, right? So we can't buy 20 copies of the book. So that's the compromise we'll do is we'll make it available for 2 hours at a time. And so that way it's kind of always available at the library. Now, you can make photocopies during that 2 hours. There we have the scanners over at the JPL. They have these giant scanners that are free, so you just scan whatever you want and email it or put it on the flash drive. But that's the reason for that. Now, sometimes like it could be like I just had a professor today ask if I could buy a second copy of the book so that one of the grad students can use it for longer. And so we put that out there. But that doesn't necessarily mean that a grad student will get it. You know what I mean? So we still put it on reserve, but for 2 days instead of 2 hours. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's kind of up to the professor, their discretion. But even if we don't have the book, we have to order it and put it on there. But the reason why we do it is just so that everyone has a chance, I guess, if everyone needs to read it. Okay, so this is how you make these requests. One of the things I want to mention are standards documents. A lot of people don't know about this, but the standards documents are like an ISO standard or ANSI standard or something like that, and we'll buy those, okay? So they're expensive. I've seen them some that are like $700, but I've set aside money. And I've given it to the lady who runs this page, and I've set aside money every year for that. And so whenever someone makes a standards request, she can buy it with a credit card immediately, get a PDF of it, and send it directly to you. that means that the library does not keep that standard. We don't have a server where we're legally allowed to put PDFs on there. We can't do that, copyright. But we can buy a copy for somebody. And since standards like you buy one standard, the chances of someone else getting that or needing it are pretty slim. But we'll get that for you. So your lab doesn't have to pay for that. We'll pay for that, okay? I want to mention that we do have some standards that we subscribe to. Like we have all of the ASTM standards. So if you go to ASTM, we have all of those. And we have a few others through a database called IHS. But if you just come across a random standard and you don't know if we have it or not, just put a request in there. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. I'm not going to make a request for that. But yeah.
If you need to check the patents,
Check the patents? Okay. So that's a good question. And that'll take me to our research guides. So if you don't know where to start when you're doing patent searching, we have a research guide for that. So if you go to research guides, all of the different librarians have, so if you see all these guides here, they're for every possible thing you can think of, right? Well, you can just do a search in here and say patents. And then there's one that comes up that says, patent and trademarks. I've worked on this with our government documents librarian, Rita. She's a really good librarian, very detailed about government documents. And so we've created this guide about, well, it's mostly her, about what a patent is and where you can find them. And so Google patents and then trademark electronic search system, she tells you exactly how to get a patent. Google does a great job on searching patents, but they don't have everything, especially patents in application. That's one thing a lot of people neglect when they're searching patents is you submit a patent, you submit an idea to the patent office, and they give you a in-application number or something like that. So like you don't have your patent yet, but it's patent pending, right? So they give you that application number, but it could be like 3 years before they give you your patent. So if you're just searching existing patents, you might be missing something that's been waiting, right? And so, for example, we do this like the senior design. The students who do senior design, they'll do something, and they'll bring it to the business people for that 100K competition, and the business people will search and they'll find a patent in application or something like that. And so, well, we can't really do that because somebody's already beat us to it. So Rita has that somewhere in this guide. So like full U.S. patents. So Google patents, LexisNexis, the Patent Office, and then patent application. So they have a separate database for searching for patent applications. So she kind of gives you like the full overview. If you want to know about patents, it's right here in this guide. And so, just do a little bit of reading here, and you'll know where to begin. And that's kind of what these guides are for. Hers are a lot more detailed than mine, of course. But so if you need to know about that, we have it there. Other research guides, like if you want to go back to the research guides homepage, so like if you go down to engineering, you can see I have one for all the different departments. So if you go to like mechanical, and basically mine is just here's my contact info, and then here are some of the databases that we have that I think are mechanical engineering oriented. So if you want to start searching there, also ebook databases. One thing people don't know about like libraries now is that we are mostly spending our money on ebooks, and actually we have more ebooks. We own more ebooks than we own print books. So our physical holdings that we have isn't limited to what's in the JPL anymore. And most of our engineering books actually are available as ebooks, specifically through these databases. So if you want to just search specifically through like ebooks, like one of the things, IngeNet base right here is like CRC, the CRC handbooks. That's this company that the publisher is called Taylor and Francis, and that's their database essentially. Refrex is mostly like Elsevier books, and we have Springer ebooks. We have every vendor. So you can search our library quick search. You can search here, but we have a lot of ebooks. Okay, let's see, and then ASTM standards. We have those there. So that's basically what this is. I need to beef up the FU review, but that's for undergrads, I guess. So, okay. So what else do I need? Google Scholar. Let me tell you about Google Scholar if we go back to the homepage. So what I was talking about, like Google Scholar will search all these websites, and they'll give you a link to the website. When you click on the link, sometimes that website will say, hey, I want you to pay money to access this article. Well, if you go through this Google Scholar link right here, this is going to add a proxy search. I don't know if you guys can see this right here, but the very first part of this link here, it's real small, but before it has scholar.google.com, it has what we have like a proxy link. And so if you bookmark that, then every time you use it, it will prompt you if it's something that we don't have, if you're off campus, if it's something we don't have access to, it'll let you log in, essentially. That's what that's doing. So if I did one thing that you'll find is, like this thing is just find it at UTSA. If I clicked on that find it at UTSA, it's going to take me to a page where it shows us where we have access to it, where we can find the full text access. This is mainly for off campus. Like when you're on campus, like I said, it's going to identify your IP and you'll be fine. So, if it ever pulls up, sorry. And so then it'll say, hey, we have the article through these 3 different places. And you just click on one of them, and it should take you to where we have a full text PDF of that article. And you just click on it right there. Does that make sense? So it's not everything, since we don't subscribe to everything, but like it's really helpful if you're at home off campus. You want to search through that Google Scholar link. Bookmark that link so at least it'll give you that option. So you'll have that. Okay? It's just a faster way to get access to the PDF. Okay. Literature review. Okay. One thing, when you're doing the literature review, you'll want to know, like, what are the top journals, a certain field are, or what other things has this guy published? If this researcher is a top researcher, you want to know. And one of the best things that you can do is go to a database we have called Web of Science. So if I go to databases, Web of Science is the science citation database. Web of Science, and so it functions like a normal database where you can search for papers on scientific topics. But there's another thing it has up here called cited reference search. If you click on cited reference search, now I can search for, let's say I can do, and see what we get here. Is this you? Yeah? Okay, so I'm going to click on View Record here. And so we have this paper that he's written, and you can see all of the references that he put in the paper. And so this is a way to say, okay, this guy's citing these journal articles. But another thing you can do is you can say, since he published his paper in 2011, 6 people have cited his paper. And so now you can see who thinks that this paper is a good paper and is putting in their research. And so you can kind of branch out a little bit forwards and backwards to see what literature these people are citing. You know what I mean? So you found a good researcher in an area. You want to see who's citing that researcher, who's doing further research in this area. Click on here and you can see through that. So that's kind of a way to expand, broaden the horizons a little bit, so to speak. So, and if you can't remember this, just remember my name and you can always ask me in the future. I know that you guys may not be starting to do this right away. Another thing that we can do here, let's see. Where is it? They've changed it since I've been here last. I'm sorry. Give me a second. Select a database. We want journal citation reports. Journal citation reports is also in our databases here. And so we have the 2012 edition. We just want sciences. And so I can view a group of journals by subject category or publisher or from a specific journal or specific year. But I can go down here and I can say, I mean, these are kind of broad, but if we wanted to do mechanical engineering, what's the best stuff for mechanical engineering? So I'll hit this, and it'll give me, based on impact factors, you know, and different factors, it'll say, here's the data that this publisher has gotten, say, here's, how many articles, what's the half-life of them, the eigenfactor, 5-year impact factor, blah, blah, blah. And you can manipulate all this data if you're needing to see, what these top journals are, so you can make sure that you have, you're looking in those top journals, right? And so one thing that people do, and this is things that a lot of professors will do, they'll know what the top journals are, and then they'll go to wherever we have access to those and just give alerts for the table of contents. So whenever the new journal is published, they'll get the table of contents in their email, and so then that way they'll know, I'll read the articles that are interesting. So it's a way to kind of automate that. You know what I'm saying? So if you guys ever have if you want to set this up, just let me know, and like specifically what you want to do, and I'll help you do that. Does that make sense? Okay.
So when you look at the impact factors, higher the better?
You know what? I think so, but I'm not sure. It could be like golf. It could be like or it's low. And I'm sorry, I don't know. Because this one's number 2, but the impact factor is like way different.
Yeah, that's why you rank based on what.
Yeah. So that's a really good question on this one. I don't know. I'd have to look at it. I don't know. And what? Yeah, I need a cheat sheet. One of the things I want to tell you though is impact factor has gotten a lot of scrutiny recently, and some guy was honest about it. He said he wrote a letter, or an open letter to the academic community, and he said, I publish a journal, and I was trying to get my impact factor assessed. And the problem with the impact factor is, like, let's say your journal publishes like a letter to the editor, or publishes, some feature article, like Nature. Nature publishes feature articles and scientific articles, right? Well, what do they count? What do they count as the cited article, right? Is it the letter to the editor, or is it the scientific article? So if you said, my total number of articles in my journal is 175, but actually only 150 of them are scientific articles, like, is that what I count? So it's like this kind of back and forth between them and this company that does this searching. And he said he found out that there's a lot of, like, corruption in that. Like, there's some bribery and stuff. So, like, it's something that you can't necessarily trust, but also, like, we don't really have a better, like, that's what we have. You know what I mean? Anyway, just saying, like, nothing's perfect. Nothing's perfect. Okay. I'm running out of time here, so I just want to see what else. Oh, okay, organizing. How many of you have heard of / used some kind of bibliographic manager like EndNote or Mendeley?
I use BibTeX.
BibTeX? Okay. So, okay. Anyone else? Yeah? You know EndNote? What about you in the back? EndNote?
And
EndNote? Mendeley? Okay. Well, any one of those is great. And there's ways actually to get all three of those to talk to each other. If you want, if you have your BibTeX file and you need to send it to a professor as an EndNote file, I can help with that, or Mendeley or whatever. Just let me know. But I recommend you use something because you need to have a way to capture this information. So like, you see your table of content alert and you say, okay, that's an article I want to read, but I don't have time to read it right now. Go ahead and just put it into your bibliographic manager and it's there. You saved it. And the point is with this bibliographic managers, you have all this data. You have the bibliographic data, the metadata, like the title, author, journal, year, ISSN, all that stuff. And then when you're ready to cite it in your paper, no matter what kind of paper you're writing, it's in Word, and you just click Insert Citation. You click on the thing you want to insert, and it puts it in there and cites everything for you. You don't have to type anything. It does all the formatting. It's great. So if you're typing a paper, it's wonderful, especially if you can collaborate with other people. So you can share your library with other people. You can make sure that your part is accounted for. Yes. So the nice thing about EndNote, in Mendeley too, in BibTeX, all of them, you can change the style at any time. Because all of the bibliographic data is field delimited or whatever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what style it is. The styles are based on rules, so they can just change the style at the end or whatever. So, but anyway, I really recommend you doing that. And if that's something you want to get help with, also I can help with that. So if you're I understand I need to use one of these things, I need to start doing it, just send me an email and I'll meet with you and we'll get you set up, if that's something. Now I know whenever I say, if you need help, just ask me. But you guys are engineers, so you're taught to learn how to do it yourself. I understand that. But my job here is to save you time. I've done a lot of these things hundreds of times, so I know how to do it really fast, and I can show you how to do it really fast. And then that way you know how to do it, and you can do it yourself, kind of thing. So don't be shy about that. I'm happy to come over to this building. I'm over in the AT library a lot. I'm around campus a lot, but if you send me an email, I'll be happy to come with you. So let me make sure I got everything else. Yeah, that's good. So I'm going to hand out this card. This is a card we made for faculty members, actually, but everything is still relevant for you guys. You have my picture. You have my email and phone number. And on the back side of it, it says, here are the things that I'm ready to help you with, and any of these things I can help you with. One of them, it says, actually on here, partnering with you on assignments to help students turn in better research projects. I know a lot of engineering classes do not have those big research assignments, but if for some reason you're teaching, you find yourself teaching a class and you want a student to turn in some kind of good research, I can help devise an assignment to have them work on it so they can turn in some good research. Because I know a lot of people say, oh, I wish my students turned in better papers. This is a way I have assignments already that I can help with undergraduate students or even master's students to guide them along. So if you ever find yourself teaching a class like that, I don't know if you guys will, but anyway, anything that's on that card, just let me know. Okay, so this is my job, is to work with you guys and to make your career here easier and whatever you need to find easier, okay? So the one thing I want you to remember is don't be afraid to ask, and you shouldn't have to pay for anything, okay? We'll get it for you. Do you guys have any questions? Yeah.
I had one, and this I guess is a more general UTSA library question. Is there maybe a better way to check out a book? Because if, as a graduate student, you check it out to the end of the semester, even if that's 2 days from now.
Right.
And I was told just wait till it's overdue and then renew it.
Correct. I check out books here too, and I deal with the same thing. I don't have any actual input on that, so that's something that the department that checks out the books, that's their procedure. It doesn't make a lot of sense if you want to renew it, because if you renew it 2 days before it's due, it'll just renew it for 2 days. But then after, if you wait until and the weird thing is there's it's a time period. You can't wait too long afterwards, because then it'll be declared lost and you'll be charged for it. And then when you try to renew it, they won't let you. So usually the next week afterwards. I don't know. I can't really say why they do it that way, but I'm sure they have a good reason. But that's the thing. Just wait till the week after or something like that and do it. One other thing is they won't let you renew if you're not enrolled. And so a lot of times PhD students will be working on research over the summer, but they're not going to be enrolled. I don't know if your department does that, but I've had a lot of people do that in the past. Over the summer, they're working on research for the professor. They're getting paid, but they're not enrolled in some kind of class because they've already done all of their classes. Well, they can't check out books because they're not enrolled. So in that case, you can always you get a letter from your advisor to send up to the library saying they're still doing work for me, and everything's fine, and they'll put you back in. If you ever get a fine like that, they're charging for a lost book or something like that, they just want the book back. So you just bring the book back and they'll get rid of that. Although there'll still be some kind of stupid processing fee, and I'm sorry, I can't do anything about that. But just make sure it's not super overdue. Okay. So one other thing is you can always renew online. So there's a My Account up here in the header. If you just click on that, you'll log in and you'll see your account, and then you can see all the different books you have, and you can just select all and request renewal, and then that'll be that. It's super easy to do, and you can do it online anytime. So just set yourself a reminder for the day after soon. I'm sorry. Any other questions? Okay. I hope to see you guys again. All right.
myself and trying to use but I didn't know that the library actually provides something actually. Yeah. I mean, everything is and they already actually very hard.
Hey, when you're working fast, I'm just gonna go. It's like there's so many different software. I have time to actually go and learn all the little tricks.
No, listen. If you make it work for you, then you save a lot of time. Actually, it's just like insert, and you don't need Wi-Fi anymore.
I gotta put the papers in.
But at least I know the solution for using different kind of the management, kind of developer operating. Yeah. Manager software, and then you can convert it. But that's how to convert it. You have your secret. Oh. But I just kind of accidentally saw online that they have some kind of pull down manuals and say that you can send this abstract to your reference manager, and I just happened to find out. So, but sometimes they don't have. So in that case, what we do?
Well, depends on where you're at.
Because you get to the list, right? And then you know you have this right? And then they don't provide this kind of automatic type of pull down manual or something. So in the very way, kind of electronically kind of download that stuff.
And I think if they offer some kind of reference export,
But they don't have export.
if they don't have an export, then you have to type it.
Or
Some websites you can actually.
so it's
Certain journals.
very useful.
Yeah. Not just search the title of the paper, and I'll find it somewhere else. And it actually has.
That's because one of our
That's right. So
databases
you need
is
to-
not- that's not-
Well, the news is
Yeah.
how to
I'll find it somewhere. I'm lazy. I want to.
kind of have a little bit disappointed. This is for all the students and all that kind of stuff. Why would you
I don't know, there's a lot of them that are still out of town.
Carolina's still out of town. Daniel's still out of town. Eli's still out
Laura,
of town. Juan's
Laura's
out of
out
town.
of
Laura's
town.
out of town. That's right.
They're all out of town,
These
so.
are driving back there.
Oh.
Maryland, Ohio.
But how about the masters?
I don't know, because.
None of them.
I
They should be
yes.
good. Yeah, that's just well, it's a perfect for them.
If you want me to, I can hold another section outside of class.
Yeah. So maybe. you can-
Anytime,
Yeah.
it doesn't, the time doesn't matter for me, but like I don't do have to take another class. But like, you know, I can.
For this one, I think this semester is already fixed. I mean, and the schedule. This class I cannot.
No, I wish I would have.
But I guess what I'm saying is like, I could do another one on a different time.
No, that's the next semester.
Yeah, but I mean,
This semester.
The next semester, you definitely. I would like to. Definitely, you need to have one.
Yeah, so that is
I'm
what
before
we're
they wanted to assist me, but I mean, sometimes they don't have time.
Yeah, because
And if they
they-
got like 6 students, it's like, what's that?
for- like here, we find that there is an issue, we find that there is,
So I think this is if I'm using, I would really appreciate it. But that's going to be a while.
yeah,
sign up for that. Everybody look at sign up for that and then we get I would like to make some kind of stuff and then every semester or every year, then we have this kind of setup and then for the new students, especially for the fall, they just kind of require to maybe not